Cool. Okay. What's up, everybody? It's your boy Leroy McKenzie Jr. coming to you. It's the third Monday of the month, so y'all know how we do. It's the Brand U Development Series, and we are here today to educate, activate, and elevate you as we, with the Black professional men, do. That is what we do. Our mission is to secure the future of the African American male, and the way we do that is by educating you, activating you, and then of course elevating you. So that's what we do this third Monday. And then of course with me, y'all know how I do. This year is about chase the impact. So we want to impact you to such a place that you are better by the end of this year 2019 than you were at the beginning of this year 2019. So I got a special guest for y'all today. As I do, I try to bring you all individuals that are going to take your brand, take you on a personal level to that next level. And I have a brother here today that is going to do just that for you now. For y'all that don't know who this gentleman is, you all are in for a treat. And for y'all that do know who this gentleman is, y'all already know who he is, what he brings. He does not bite his tongue when it comes to telling the truth. And that's what I love about it. He's going to tell you not what you want to hear. He's going to tell you what you need to hear. And it's all about making you better. So what we're going to do today, the topic for the day that we're doing, we're going to be just talking a little bit about some information about brothers. How do we finish the year 2019 strong? Because we're in the fourth quarter of 2019. We're winding this year down. And we want to be able to assist you with your business, with your personal life, to be able to finish this year strong. How do you go about doing that? So he's going to talk a little bit about that. And then we're going to talk about how do you go into 2020 being strong. And we'll find out a little bit about his mantra for 2020 and what you can do in order to be able to be better in 2020. And we have none other than Mr. Mario Brown. Can I say Pastor Mario Brown?
Yeah, whatever you want to. Yeah, I'm all of those. Absolutely.
Yeah, and y'all, I got a list of things that this brother does. So y'all got to understand that this man is doing his thing, and he's doing it over in multiple ways, and I love it. And that's what we as men should be about doing those things that not just make us better, but make those around us and those that we encounter better. So that's what it's about. But he is the senior pastor of the Kingdom Church. He is the host of the Empowerment for Life, and we're going to talk about that too. Empowerment for Life podcast. He's the founder and CEO of Life Matters Life Coaching Services. So we're going to get all into all of that today, so that he can tell you a little bit about who he is, what he does, and the great things that he is doing in his world and everything like that. So I want to introduce and welcome Mario Brown to the show. Welcome, sir. How are you?
Oh, thank you so much, Brother Leroy. Thank you for the invitation, man. I am outstanding. I am excited to be here, man. And we finally, we kind of connected on our other show, Real Perspectives, and it was so good for us to move forward. We enjoy having you as a guest on the show, as a listener, but you're always so informative. So we love having you on. So thank you for the invitation. I'm doing great, though.
Absolutely. And I just thought it was a great idea to have you come and talk to not just men, because Black, even though this is Black professional men, the podcast that we deal with Black professional men, but we deal with men, but we also deal with women as well, because
Sure.
they are listeners as well too. And it can assist them in learning more about men. So that's the great thing about it, because it educates. And you all do that on your show as well too, where you deal with those relationship issues or issues that deal with men and women. And I thought that was great. And I was like, well, let me see if I can get this brother to come on my show, and we can talk a little bit about the great things that he's doing,
Sure.
and see if I can't get him to pour into to my listeners and everything like that come around. So thank you again. Thank you
Yes,
for
sir.
coming, accepting the invitation, because it's one thing
Absolutely.
to put the invitation out there, but it's another thing for somebody to accept
Yes,
it too.
yes. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So let's start it off by having you just tell the listeners just a little bit about who you are, what you do, and kind of a little bit about the behind the scenes of who Mr. Mario Brown is.
Well, man, I appreciate it. Well, again, as Leroy said, my name is Mario Brown. I'm the senior pastor of the Kingdom Church in Auburn, Alabama. So if you Auburn fans, if there be any out there, God bless you. I am originally from Atlanta, Georgia, and I was born and raised in Atlanta, Georgia, to a family of educators that were just very big on education. And it was so amazing to grow up in that family in Atlanta because in the 60s, of course, Atlanta was such a mecca for the civil rights movement. And so
Mm-hmm.
growing up with a consciousness about what it means to be a Black person, but particularly a Black male, because we saw Black male leadership in the forefront, and that was always a good thing for us. So I've been in Auburn for about maybe almost 20 years now, and it's been an interesting journey because I lived in Nashville and pastored there for a while, and then I came
Oh,
here
okay.
to the church. All of the churches that I've had, I've always started them from scratch.
Mm.
I've started them in hotels or in the apartment and moved to a hotel to a church. And so from that, one of the things that I always remember that was life-changing, Leroy, was the Lord said to me, find one thing to focus on and let that be the benchmark of your ministry. And that was human relationships.
Mm.
And so everything that I do centers around learning how to navigate human relationships. And that begins with learning the relationship with yourself. So everything that I do with the Life Empowerment for Life, the life coaching business, Life Matters with Mario Brown, the church, the Kingdom Church, everything is really modeled after that.
Mm.
It's learning how to have a good relationship with yourself first, so that you can then now broaden that lens a little bit so you can see how to interact with others effectively. So that's what I do. I'm a co-host on Real Perspectives, which I have my own podcast, Empowerment for Life, on the Hindsight Radio Media platform. I also do have a YouTube channel that I do videos just on little things that people need on a day-to-day basis, encouragement, kind of changing their mindset. And within the life coaching model, I have a program, two major programs. One of them is relationship recovery, and the other is the personal mindset transformation for success program. Because what I recognize is that we are addressing a whole lot of work principles without dealing with the transformation of the mind. We're giving people tools to work with, but we're not transforming their mind to be able to apply them effectively.
Right.
So everything in my mind is it starts in your mind. Everything, whatever successes you get into, whatever you walk into, it starts with your mind. So
Yeah.
that's the basics of what I do, Leroy.
Wow, and that's and I'm gonna pick up on a couple of things that you talked about. One, building the churches from scratch that you talked about, and we'll get into that from a business perspective.
Okay.
But then what you just talked about, dealing with the transformation of the mind, because a lot of people they think that they can, and you tell me what you think about this. That you have a lot of people that they deal with the physical. They may fix up outside, but they don't work on what it is and who they are on the inside, and not realizing that if you don't fix that mind, you don't fix that inside of who you are, then it's going to remain the same. Who you are. I've always said our character, no matter what, if you don't deal with your character and who you are at the core of who you are, that will never change. If you don't change that or understand that, then you will always be who it is, and you can try and mask it all you want to.
Yeah.
But that will always come up, who you are in your heart, so to speak, like you said. So if you can't transform your mind, and even the word says you transfer by the renewing of your mind, which means you have a new process, a new thought of how you are, who you are, and where you're going in, like that. And that's, like you said, that's with anything in life, I believe.
Yeah,
That you can't do anything if you continue to think the same way that you always think. So you
absolutely.
know that I think that's key. Now, I want to start with this. I want to ask you this: we're in the fourth quarter, like I mentioned. We're in the fourth quarter of 2019. So we've gone now 9 months, a full 9 months, and we just entered into October. Full 9 months now into 2019. And for that person for that guy that's listening, even for that woman that's listening, and they have these last 3 months to be able to finish this year out strong and to be able to transform their mind, what can they begin with to be able to do that so that they can end these last 3 months as strong as possible?
I think, Leroy, in my opinion, each person must ask themselves, what is it that I want?
Mm-hmm.
That's the first thing. And the second thing is, what do I believe?
Mm-hmm.
Because what we've done is we've gone through our life working on faith, but no one is addressing what I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Because faith always undergirds belief.
Wow.
Any
Wow.
man cometh unto me, he must first what? Believe that I am. And so many people are trying to finish strong, but have not really addressed, but what do I want? Most people, when I ask them, even my clients, church members or whatever, I ask them, what is it that you want? And many of
Okay.
them have a real problem articulating what is it you truly desire? What is it that you want? What does it look like? Can you describe it? What does it look like in real time? What do you want? Not what they told you should want, but what is it
Right.
that you want?
Right.
Not what your parents expect you to have, but what is it you want? And if you really want it, what are you willing to not pay for it, but deal with the cost of it? Because there's a difference between price and cost.
Wow.
And so I think that each person must ask themselves, have I truly pursued what I want, or have I been pursuing what the media tells me I should want, what my family tells me I should want? Am I trying to satisfy a Photoshop image of the good life? And am I running behind an edited story?
Wow.
You see,
Wow.
so we have to stop and ask ourselves, all right, do I really know what I want in life? I don't care where you are in your life. I don't care what your age is, what season you are in your life. You must stop and ask yourself, what is it that I truly want? And it really takes time to get to that, because we've spent our lives trying to be accepted, be affirmed, to have someone to think we balling, to have people applaud us and all this stuff, man. And so we honestly do not know what we truly desire. What is the desire that is in your spirit that nobody has to approve? You don't need anybody's approval to want what you want out of this life. You got one life to live, and you've got to pursue that thing that is honestly and integrally, in an integral manner, what you really desire. Not what anybody else is going to like or dislike. The next thing is you must decide what you believe about obtaining that thing. What do you believe you should have? What do you believe you are? What do you believe you should be doing with your life? Do you believe that God wants you to be successful? Do you believe that it is possible for you to walk in that dynamic? What is it that you believe? Because you can never live a fruitful life beyond that which you believe.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's some powerful stuff right there. And I went to see a friend of mine this weekend, and to testament to what you were just saying, and we were having a conversation, and because we just connected, we go see each other, go to see her, to try and catch up on good stuff and everything like that. She had been through some really tough stuff right now, tough things right now, on a relational level.
Mhm.
And so we were talking, and she was talking about, the relationship that she had and everything like that. And so I asked her that question, that I said, well, what is it that you are looking for in a man, right?
Mhm.
And her response was, I don't know what I want or what I'm looking for, but I know what I don't want. And I was like, I would, and it registered to me. I'm like, wow. I'm like,
Yeah. Yeah. Isn't that amazing? Because, and you know why she's there though, Leroy? Because it is so much easier to say what you don't want than it is, because it doesn't take a lot of work for that. It takes work. It takes honesty. It takes really knowing yourself to decide what you really want. Because what you really want may make some people look at you side-eyed. You see what I mean? You think about I tell some of my friends that that have this skewed vision of what they think would be approved of by others. And now they've made it their own. They've adopted it. You see what I mean? It's not yours by birth, but you've adopted it. And now you're trying to live out of that adoption, you see. And you can't, because it's truly not yours.
Right.
So yeah, she's in a very common place actually, because we spend more time saying what I don't want. So what she's become is one with what she does not want, to the point she has neglected what she really does want.
And I thought that was keen, and it was like right on point to what you were saying about, until
Yeah.
you know what you want, then you really truly can't. I think the mind is it's a powerful tool, because I forgot who I was listening to or reading, but they were saying when we in effect talk about what you do, when you decide on something that you want, the mind will actually work towards it. It will actually, your mind starts to do the things to set in motion for you to be
Yes.
able to achieve it. Those things, and it's just, so we can't get anywhere until we, like you said, those first two things: you decide what you want, and
Yeah.
you believe in what you want.
Certainly, man. Certainly. And I think that it's amazing because that we're having this conversation, because I was talking to another pastor friend of mine in the Atlanta area, and I was saying to him, I said, we have brought people into the church, and we've had the Word of Faith movement, where we have just talked about faith, 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 faith. But the truth of the matter is that the issue is never will a man have faith. The issue is, where does man place faith?
Wow.
In what does he
Wow.
place faith in? You see,
hmm
you think about it. You think about it. Unto every man, the measure of faith has been dealt. That means that God, in him creating us, gave us the amount of faith that we're going to have for our whole lifetime, from the cradle to the grave. He dealt us that based upon the foreknowledge of what he created us to do and have and be.
Right.
There is no faith or a store. There is no other place to go get no more faith. You already
Right.
You already have the measure you need to obtain everything that you would ever desire. But now, what did Jesus deal more with? The lack of faith or unbelief? He was paralyzed by unbelief.
Belief.
You see what I mean?
Absolutely.
And so we have to start dealing with, on a day-to-day basis, what do I believe? What do I believe today? Like, let me adjust and modify what I believe. My faith ain't sick. My faith ain't wounded. You see, I ain't got a lack of faith. No. I got to decide what I believe, and my faith will support that belief system. If you believe stealing is right, you will have faith in the methods that'll get you shoplifting. You can do it successfully.
Wow.
You know, yeah, that's what it's about, man.
You just said something right there. Oh my, woo. Now let's take that, what you just said, from the personal side, and,
Okay.
and let's put that on the business side. What do you, as a business person, as an entrepreneur, what do you need to do to be able to do, or is it this? Are they along the same lines?
Well, they integrate. See, I've learned over the past few years, Leroy, that we're trying to find balance, which is really frustrating us because there is no balance. There is no balance. It's only integration. We have to integrate these principles into what we are doing.
Right.
If we're trying to find balance, man, we're going to forever be trying to search. That's why everybody's frustrated and mad because they always trying to, I'm work balance, work life balance. Man, it ain't going to never be balanced. It will never be balanced because there are too many variables involved. All we can do is to integrate better principles into what we are doing.
Wow.
You see what I
Wow.
mean?
Absolutely.
So even as an entrepreneur, like I'm starting this apparel line, and I have run into the last few days, I've run into some glitches. And they have been frustrating. They have been agitating. I have had a meltdown. I just lost it for a day or two until I needed to step away. I had to step away from it. And what I realized is that the glitch was caught before I did the full-fledged launch, because that was God protecting me from being embarrassed. Now, I could have launched it and not seen it, and then got to re-rack stuff. Everything had to come to a halt, but you've done this big rollout. So what I found is in business, what we have to do is I believe that I'm going to have a successful apparel business, period. That's what I believe. What I have to also believe is that there are going to be glitches along the way.
Absolutely.
That the Father will not only expose in the business, but in your personal character. He will show you blind spots. You see, and that's why we must learn to interpret the difference between a delay and a denial. Many times the delay is to shield you from public embarrassment, because he, the all-knowing, has already seen what you miss because you in the day-to-day.
Absolutely.
So it looks perfect. You know what I mean? So he says, no, because remember, I heard you ask me to bless and protect you. So I'm exercising parental authority, executive privilege. Put this thing on a halt until we can get it right. I'm gonna give you an opportunity to see it. And I always use this example, Leroy. You know, when you're driving in your car and you need to get over on your right side, you have a side view mirror that has and some writing on it that says that the objects in this mirror may be closer than they appear.
Right.
It looks like, okay, the truck is further back. I probably can get over. There's a blind spot, a blind panel in the back seat of the car that you still cannot clearly see what is inside of you. And what do you have to do? You must change your posture. You must change your posture to see. You need to turn around for a moment. That means you got to check what's in front of you and what's behind you to see. What are our blind spots? You talked about closing strong. If you don't know your blind spots in this last quarter, you're going to take them into 2020.
Come on, say that again. That is so on point right there.
Yeah. You got to know your blind. You got to identify your blind spots very honestly, because as honest as you can be will accelerate the correction of the behavior. The more honest you are, you can accelerate the change in behavior to say, yo, that's a blind spot. Let me settle down for a minute and let me see what are the things I missed this year and what are the things that I've done well that I need to improve upon so that I will not take those things over into 2020. And what I did learn, I can take over to 2020 and make better.
Absolutely. And that's key, like you said, that and that's why it's important to do that assessment and reflection that's gone on this year to be able to that we've gotten to this thus far in this point. At this point, what are those things? What worked? What didn't work? What has happened, and what were the reasoning why, whether it's the personal side or business side, why haven't I achieved this? Why haven't I gotten here or gotten there? Or I did do this right, I did do that right, because you want to look at your achievements as well as the things that you need to work on to make better, because that gives you the idea of where you still have to go. What do I still need to do so that I can do that? And the only way that you do that is by reflecting on it. so that you can understand and know where those blind spots are. So I want you to talk to folks about what it is. Let's talk about the men, what we as men need to do, what we need to do to finish this year strong from a male perspective. And we can talk a little bit. I want to deal with the men, because you and I both know we've talked about men. What do we
Absolutely.
need to do? You know, what do we need to do especially in this day and time, in order to be able to get ourselves together more specifically?
Yeah. Well, Leroy, I think that when I kind of look around, I think one of the things that we're going to have to do as African American men is we're going to have to be sure we first and foremost understand who we are.
Mm-hmm.
We need to understand who we are, not in the sense of I'm just a black man or anything like that. We understand that. We're clear on that.
Mm-hmm.
We need to understand who we are from a historical and spiritual standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
We must come back and get in tune with our spirituality. Now this is gonna sound real strange coming from a preacher, but I'm talking about beyond religion. I'm talking about beyond the church.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about getting into the Creator's mind about why he thought you to be male. Why did he think you and create you to be male? Okay, we got to get back into that, how he has designed us, who he called us to be as male. What does it mean to be male, not a man? Because
Right.
we've been trying
There's
to
a
teach everybody
difference.
how to be a man, and
Right.
you haven't dealt with your maleness yet.
Ooh.
You haven't dealt with your maleness yet. Because see, what we do is we jump the gun. You didn't learn how to be a man. Well, talk to me about that then. What do you mean? Okay, you talking about paying bills and taking care of my family and all that kind of stuff. Well, if I understood my maleness, that would be innate. See, because you still talking about flawed men trying to tell somebody how to be a man, but you beat your wife. Just because you take care of the bills, but you ignore your family.
Absolutely.
You have no integration in your family. Your value system is fundamentally flawed, and we can't see it because we don't live with you, but you now are telling who how to be a man. And see, a lot of people, and this is where we've been flawed. We've been giving them theory. You're going to teach theory and behavior until you learn how to go back and talk about being a male, because that's where the creation of the male and the understanding of you being chosen by your creator to be a male is going to set in motion a series of events that are going to shape your decision making.
Absolutely.
It's going to determine how you lead. It's going to determine how you submit to other leadership. It's going to teach you what to teach others, because you understand first and foremost, I'm male. That Bible says he made male and female, not man and woman. He made male.
Absolutely.
And so we have to get back to that, because we are male before we are man.
Ooh, man, you are giving it to him real good. And I think that you just said something really key that I think that a lot of men have been miseducated on, about what, like you said, what a male is, what a man is, and what manhood is. And we don't understand that manhood means, like you just said, that's a perfect example of it. Manhood is understanding your maleness, but also at the same time understanding who you are, what man is. And if you don't get that, I think that goes back to what we started off with, when you talk about the renewing of your mind. Because
Yes.
I've been saying that there needs to be a renewing of the male mind in order for there to be a shift.
Absolutely.
In society and with men, because you and I both know that if you shift a man's mind, and you get that man in order, everything else will flow from there. I truly believe that. But so many of us are miseducated on what manhood is and what male is, that we can't, we haven't gotten that together. And
Absolutely.
I think we start by getting
We
that
are.
together.
I totally agree, man. And I think that we've been more so taught how to behave like men.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? On the behavior side of it, you know what I mean?
Right.
And so we're walking around with males not understanding, first of all, who they are, and they are behaving like they've been taught. Their behavior is that of a man. How to walk hard, how to talk hard, how not to show emotion, those are behavioral things.
Right.
You see what I mean? Those are behavioral things. A male never has a problem being a man or behaving.
I like that.
We could talk about other stuff a little bit later, but I'm just saying that when you know who you are, then you don't have to work on so much trying hard to behave like you ain't acting like a man. That's the problem. That means you're putting them in the action instead of having them to come into understanding. Whatever a person understands, they can then innately do, because they must come back. So you think about our blackness. Let's talk about us being black folk. See, if we understood historically who we are, who we were before Christianity, okay? I don't even want to get into that, but I'm just before we were infiltrated with what happened to us, we understood the power of our blackness. You see, this is prior to the self-hatred that we operate in now. And we didn't have to act and behave like nothing. We were. You see, we were. And so now the whole thing, if you look at it, everything is trying to go back and be reconciled to the original.
Right.
You see, that's what man's struggle is, trying to get back to his original position. That's what we're looking at when we see men struggle. They don't even know how to identify. They're trying to find their maleness, not their manness. They're really trying to get back and say, yo, it's something that's crying out from my true identity. And if I can recognize this, I can stop acting and be.
Exactly. Whew. Now let's say that what you just said, let's package that up. Now I want you to talk about that in terms of what you talk about, and I want to get into your empowerment for life. And what you do with that. Can you tie that into what you just talked about from that male perspective?
Empowerment for Life was birthed in 2007. I was here in Auburn, and I had a lot of college students coming to my church from Auburn and Tuskegee. Okay. So my church was filled with them. And one of the things that I learned is that these were basically babies coming from these different locations. And so I'm this small church that had a younger looking pastor, because they didn't know I was as old as I was back then, because I just got that baby face thing. So they came to my church. Now I'm originally out of Church of God in Christ. All right. So I'm a Pentecostal preacher, but I'm so different from the Pentecostal part of my life. I move around and understand how to bridge people together by connecting them to God and not denomination.
Right.
So they were coming from various little pockets of Alabama, Georgia, and from different places, but they all somehow ended up at my church. One of the things that I understood is that they had never been empowered to be authentic. They came with an expectation to satisfy their parents, trying to get out of poverty, trying to go for a better life, but they had never been empowered to choose authentic paths that would literally please, number one, God, number two, themselves. And that they would be able to make a viable contribution to society if they would learn to be authentic. So that's what Empowerment for Life came from. Like, let me empower you with some basic truths that's going to take you through your life. Here's some timeless truths, timeless principles that you're going to be able to take with you for the rest of your life.
Wow.
For the rest of your life. Because, see, principles, man, principles don't deviate.
Right.
Principles
Absolutely.
don't deviate.
They don't.
if I can take you now, because you're now between childhood and adulthood. Because see, a freshman is still a kid to me. That's still a kid.
Right, right.
I've been given this unique opportunity to shape the minds of people that will carry things. And you would be so surprised, man. My past birthday, they got together with some people that had come through my church years ago, and they did this video. And man, I cried like a baby because this video, like, I remember when you taught me this. They're married now with kids. We're still living out of this.
Absolutely.
We remember the way you taught us how to do this. I know how to pray because, excuse me, because you taught us how to pray. You taught us how to believe. You taught us how to apply our faith. And we are married now because you taught us how to have relationship with ourselves. So I was like, oh my God, man, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? This was like in 06, 03, 02. And I'm like, man, it's 2019. And these people are still remembering because they were just a set of principles that would empower you for the rest of your life. That's how it was birthed, man.
Wow, and that is awesome. So hold on to those principles, because we're gonna end it with with talking about those principles right there. But now, is your Empower for Life part of your life coaching? Because I know you mentioned that you do the life coaching. Is that something that you do in the life coaching that you offer?
Well, actually, Empowerment for Life is a brand that's really turned into my apparel line. Okay, it really is. The life coaching thing is the personal mindset transformation for success program. The Empowerment for Life is basically the brand mantra. It drives everything I do. Everything that I do is driven by those three things: empowerment for life. So it drives everything I create is about empowerment. So it's what I designed was an apparel line of t-shirts that have stimulating words on them that cause us, number one, it's two things that I wanted to create. One, to start you to thinking in terms of what you want to create for your life. And number two, something that would literally cause us to talk to each other again. So this morning this is one of my shirts now. It says, unmad yourself. Okay. And so I kind of coined that phrase a few years ago because I was dealing with people that were walking around with so much anger in them. Absolutely. And so I would sit down and tell them, yo, unmad yourself. Unmad yourself.
I like that.
So somebody was in the grocery store this morning. I was in Publix, and the cashier was like, unmad yourself. And I said, yeah. And so that calls us to talk.
Absolutely.
It engaged us. You know what I mean? And so it gave me an opportunity for her to stop and say, I wonder, am I still mad? Here's a card, and we can find out.
Right.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And so that has been really, really, really something that I think has, I'm trying to turn that song off, that has really driven the apparel line, but it also drives everything I do. Like even coming on your show, the Empowerment for Life in me drives the answers. It's driving our connection.
Absolutely.
It is the vehicle that's driving me to answer what I'm answering now, because it's about empowerment. Absolutely.
Absolutely. And that's great. And I love that what you do with the t-shirts, because I do something similar as well, because I have one that's called Be Unstoppable. Okay. And I have the hashtag Be Unstoppable. And when people ask me when I talk about it, I said it's more than a hashtag, it's a mindset. Because if you take on the Be Unstoppable mindset, that means like you just said, everything that you do, that means that no matter what the obstacles, because we're going to have obstacles in our life, no matter what, whether it's on the job, whether it's a business, like you talked about earlier, the things that you went through this with. It's that mindset that even though I go through the things that I may go through, I know at the end of the day that I'm unstoppable. I'm not going to let this what may be an obstacle right now, but I know I'm going to be on the other side of it. And my approach to everything that I do is about understanding that I'm going to get through it. There's nothing that I can't take on. that I can't be unstoppable about. Because one, because I know whose I am and what he has for me. And anything that he has for me, I'm going to have it regardless of what I go through. And
Absolutely.
there's got to be a purpose behind me going through what I'm going through. So my mindset is to be unstoppable. And it is, because it becomes a mindset. And when people start to think, like you said, that's a conversation piece where people like you said, I'm mad. Well, you know, and
Yeah.
then you get them thinking, like you said,
Absolutely.
they said, well, am I mad about am I
Yeah.
mad about something? You
And
know,
that's really what it's about, man. Because we'll text now before we'll talk. Before we talk,
exactly.
one day we'll rather
I know,
text.
right?
And I'm
Yeah,
trying to kind of work as much as I can to get people to let's converse a little bit. Let's do some
right,
one-on-one. Let's do some FaceTime, and let
right.
me put on something that will stimulate first of all my own thinking, because my whole thing is when I go to the closet, what do I feel today, and what do I need today? So I need to put on something that will stimulate me first. Then I can stimulate others. So it's still about reaching someone wherever I go with something positive, something encouraging, and more than anything, something that will stimulate them to make a decision about what they want and what they believe.
Absolutely, absolutely, and that's key. I think that's some awesome stuff right there that
Thank you,
people
man.
need to understand, and getting unmad. And the other things that you talked about, the empowerment for life, those are key. That if y'all are writing down stuff, y'all need to write this stuff down about understanding empowerment for life, understanding what it is that you may even, like you said, what you may even be mad about. Let's start a little bit. Talk about those 5 principles that you talked about, that you said the principles don't change, if
Mhm.
we can, and talk a little bit about those principles that you have people engage in.
Well, I think the first principle that I try to impute to people is to be okay with your decisions.
Mm,
Own your decisions, whether they are bad or good. One must learn ownership of their decision and choices.
mm.
If
I think you just stopped a whole bunch of people with that one right there.
yeah, man, yeah, we have to be willing to own that decision, because a lot of times we'll make decisions and we're not really ready to take ownership of them.
Yeah,
We have to be able to say, even if that was a bad decision, I own it because it's what I wanted to do at that moment.
right,
I got caught up in the moment, and I can
right.
own that, because that's a sign, in my opinion, it's a sign of maturity. It
Mm-hmm.
says that I'm not
Absolutely.
afraid to make a decision because I'm going to own it one way or the other.
The other.
I'm going to own it. You don't get to choose to own the good decisions and then you can, blow your horn about it. You got
Right.
to be able to own it, and you have to be okay with people not agreeing with that decision. You have to be okay with that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's not necessary for you to get that. Now, I'm not talking about if you're married and you make a decision that's going to affect everybody. That's what
Right,
I'm talking about.
right,
But even if you
right,
decide to go that way and it affects somebody, own it. One
right.
way or the other, you still got to own it. That I made a decision to do this. It has affected other people. I take ownership of it. That is the only time, watch this, Leroy. That's the only time that God will intervene to make a corrective action by grace to get you out of that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
When you
And
own
oh,
that thing, yeah, man, God to get involved in it.
yeah, and to me, you just defined what leadership is owning a decision that you make. Leaders aren't afraid to own a decision that they made, and you just made me think about this really quick. In the movie, and I'm sure you saw it in the movie Selma,
Mm-hmm.
when Dr. King was faced with either going across the bridge,
Mm-hmm.
or not going that initial time, and
Mm-hmm.
he stops and turns back. He
Mm-hmm.
knew, and he knew that he was going to get all kinds of flack from doing that. And
Mm-hmm.
even the scenes after that showed them when they're sitting in the church, all them folks was mad. They was
Absolutely.
hot with him
Absolutely.
about that decision that he made. But he understood that decision, he owned that decision. And
Mm-hmm.
he said it wasn't about, it didn't have, it had to do, he was making that decision based on what he was feeling, what he felt was best for everybody, that you said that he knew it was going to affect everybody. And
Absolutely.
he knew if he had gone over that bridge that time, that there would have been stuff that he didn't want to happen at that time. So
Sure enough.
he was not hesitant in saying, you know what, no, let's turn back around and we'll come back and we'll do it another time. It
Absolutely.
just made me think about that when you talked about
Absolutely.
that, and being able to being accountable for the decisions that we make, and what leadership is not afraid to do in
Absolutely.
making those decisions.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so I think that the second principle that I think is very critical for any person, but particularly men,
Mm-hmm.
is as a man, what exactly is important to me and what is my value system?
Mm.
What is my value system? We have to sit down as men and determine what our value system is, independent of anyone else's approval.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll notice that I keep going back to approval.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? We have been taught to need the affirmation of everybody. We
Mm-hmm.
need everybody to co-sign, and
Right.
that's unnecessary. See, that makes you enslaved to them. So if they deviate, then where does that leave you?
Right.
You
Exactly.
have to be able to determine what your value system is. Here's a pure example. If you value a clean house, your house is going to be clean.
Yep. Absolutely.
You know, if you value cleanliness, your house going to reflect that value system. You know, my granddaddy used to say all the time, he bought my first car.
Mm-hmm.
And what he did was he entered into negotiation. Are we good on time, Leroy? I'm sorry. I'm done.
Yeah, no, we're good. We're good. Mm-hmm.
He would always enter. This is a man with a third grade education now, right?
Mm-hmm.
He would always know how to negotiate. His intelligence was greater than a lot of PhDs I know,
Mm-hmm.
because he depended upon God to give him wisdom.
Uh-huh.
So what he gave to me was wisdom. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted a car. He said to me, well, let me ask you this. How much money do you have?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't have but about $50, $100 right now. He said, okay, well, let's talk when you get a little bit more. Okay. He said to me, he came to me one day, he said, well, what have you been looking at? Have you found something you like? I said, I'm still looking. He said, well, come back when you are ready to talk.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So when I found a Ford Pinto, excellent condition. The first thing he said to me was, how many miles are on it?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. He said, come back to me when you can tell me the following things. What do the tires look like? How many miles are on it? What does the upholstery look like?
Mm-hmm.
And can you bring a mechanic to check it out? All right. So he gave me the wisdom on how to buy a car.
Mm-hmm.
All right. He said to me, and he would teach the women in our family, if a man come to pick you up and the tires on his car are slick, do not go with him anywhere, because he don't go for doggone about his life or yours.
Mm.
Second thing he said, if his shoes running over, do not go anywhere with him, because he doesn't care about his appearance.
Mm.
If his fingernails are nasty, even if he is a mechanic, leave him alone. He ain't clean.
Mm.
Those are basic principles, and those point to value system.
Right.
That's right. A value system. So I think every man needs to sit down and constantly reevaluate, what do I value in this season of my life?
Wow.
Because what you value at 40 is not what you valued at 20.
Right.
So
it shouldn't be.
You're in trouble if it does.
If it does. Absolutely.
But if you can sit down in every major season, because see, the 30 is the number of maturity. That's the Jewish number for adulthood.
Okay.
They didn't consider a man an adult until he was 30. It's the number of maturity. He could not lead a business until he was 30. So here we have it. When you turn 30, you wake up one day and you see the world differently by default. Everything is different. What was funny at 30 ain't funny at 29. It ain't funny at 30. So here's the thing. You got to sit down and ask yourself now, what do I value at 42? Am I still trying to go to the club? Am I still trying to smash 40 women? Am I still trying to be the game player at 42 years old? Really? Am I still cheating on my wife at 42? Should I not have gotten all that out of me? Those are value system issues. And
Wow.
every person, male or female, must sit down and figure out what their value system is, so that even if they're in the dating pool, they're able to articulate what is valuable to them, which means I know what to walk away from.
Absolutely, absolutely. You just gave a whole lot of women a whole lot of wisdom right there about what to look at in a man, because
Yes, sir.
and vice versa too, for
True
men
enough.
looking at women
Absolutely.
too, asking what is their value system.
Yeah.
That's vital right there, man.
Yeah. Yeah. So the third one I think is very, very important now, is to consider who your counselors are.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Who are your counselors? Who are the people that
Yep.
you have surrounded yourself with that you respect enough to receive counsel from? If can you hear me? Okay, there you
Mm-hmm.
go.
Yep.
See, oftentimes we don't consider whose counsel do we sit in.
Right. Mm.
And what's really funny is I've assembled a team of counselors around me, from PhDs to high school graduates.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Okay.
okay. Mm-hmm.
I got a full spectrum
Mm-hmm.
that I sit in the council with, because each of them has a different perspective.
Mm-hmm.
If we look at what Jesus did in choosing the disciples,
Uh-huh.
that for the longest, and watch men that were fishermen, but there were other people around at the same time. And he's literally observing them, saying, you are a physician, I'm gonna need you. You deal with taxes and money. We got to have a treasurer.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? He
Absolutely.
assemble. You get Peter, cussing, violent Peter. I need you, Peter, because if you
Yeah,
serve too.
we know. We know.
And
Got
even Judas, you come on too,
mm,
because you are part of the plan to get this thing off the ground.
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So I keep a spectrum of people around me, because the PhD is extremely intelligent, but oftentimes can't see beyond what they know.
Yeah, yeah,
All right. So
absolutely.
they give me the technical end of the academic part of that. But the person with a high school diploma only sees things from a common sense point.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I mean?
Absolutely.
That's the one that keeps me grounded, for real.
Right.
That's
Mm-hmm.
the one to be like, no, that ain't gonna work. No, nobody want that. No, you see what I mean? You need,
Absolutely.
so you have to consider, what team have you assembled around you that keeps you grounded, that can challenge your thoughts, your ideas in a constructive way, and you
Mm-hmm.
respect them enough to take their advice, utilize it, and grow.
Absolutely. And I like that. And I liken that to, I call it my circle of impact.
Mm-hmm.
And because you have people, and I call it the pitcher in the glass theory. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you go to a restaurant, and when you're sitting at the table, of course, there's a glass that sits at every place, and
Mm-hmm.
then they bring a pitcher, and they place the pitcher, has water, lemonade, whatever it has in it,
Mm-hmm.
but the pitcher is used to fill all
Yes,
of the glasses around.
that's
I
good.
said, and sometimes in our circle, we are the pitcher where we pour into those that are around us. And
Right.
sometimes we have to be the glass where we get
Yes.
poured into, to be able to listen and understand what it is that people are trying to tell us and guide us to. So it is vital, though. My mother taught me all long time ago. Watch the people that you have around you, that you
Mm-hmm.
surround yourself with, said, because they become vital to
Yes.
what it is that you do, how you do, and how you accomplish things, and how you get things, and to give you, like you said, those different perspectives. And I think it's funny you were saying Jesus had those folks around him, the Judas, the Peter,
Mm-hmm.
and all of them. And we have those. I can't think of too many people that you can't think of that don't have one of those kind of friends around you.
That's
You got
right.
that friend, that you be like, yeah, they our friend, but we don't trust them too much.
Right. Right.
You ain't tell them nothing.
Yeah.
But then you got that friend that's crazy, that but that if you need something, they're gonna
All day
handle the
long
bit.
and twice on Sunday. Yes, sir.
They something go down, hey,
Absolutely.
they gonna be right
Absolutely.
there.
Yeah.
You know. So
That's,
that is so true, man. That is so true.
I think the number 4, Leroy,
Mhm.
is um, treasure your time.
Mm.
Treasure your time. Be very, very discerning about your time.
Absolutely.
Don't allow people to waste your time.
Yep.
And don't you have to discern on the front end what is a time waster. Remember, back to your analogy about the pitcher and the glasses. Remember this: if you are a gallon and the people that you're trying to pour into are quarts, you can only give them what they can handle.
Yep.
Stop trying to force your whole self into a quart.
Absolutely.
That's going to be a waste.
Absolutely.
It's just going to be a waste. You know what I mean? You have to be able to discern and be okay with the capacity that they have.
Right.
Be okay with it. Because a lot of people are disappointed now because they've been trying to help folk, then they got the capacity for them.
Woo. Yep.
You see what I mean? You trying to help people, they don't have the capacity for you. They do not have the capacity, and you just keep on trying to chunk all of yourself into them, and you're now bent out of shape, broken, wounded, rejected, scarred, whatever, because you have chosen to keep trying to pour yourself into people who absolutely do not have the capacity to contain all that you're trying to offer. Absolutely. You have to have discernment about when you're supposed to leave. You need to become very astute with the notion of seasons. When that season is over, if you overstay, something negative is going to come out of that.
Absolutely.
Because we don't know the season of departure. There must be a time of departure. I give this example. Jesus feeds the 5,000. After he's gone through that, he breaks the bread. He sits them down in groups of 50, tells them to sit them down. He feeds them. There are 12 baskets left over. All of a sudden, they go to sleep, I guess, because they're full. He goes and he prays. They wake up. He says by this time, get the boat ready. We're getting ready to go to the other side, but get my leftovers. Now, we got all these folk talking about, oh, he fed the 5,000, but Leroy, there wasn't a famine. That was not a famine.
Yep.
We kind of always trying to make that seem like they were poor and destitute. No, they were not. They were not.
All.
He said to them, get my leftovers. We're going to the other side. They said, but it's some more people coming. He said, get my leftovers. And we is going to the other side. Okay. All right, here we go. He didn't care nothing about that because he understood this is the place of disconnection. When they followed him, he said to them, all y'all want are the fishes and the loaves. He was able to identify what they were really after. And he understood, I have given you all I'm going to give you. And guess who's all right with it? My Father.
My Father. Yep.
We got to be okay with that. So we have to realize that we only have one life. So if you're wasting time, everybody that's listening today, you have a right to decide where your place of disconnection is. You must decide if you're stressed, bent, broken, feeling rejected, used, pull out. You've overstayed. Yep. And then you got, well, let me add this too. You need to ask God, did he assign that to you too?
Exactly.
Because some of y'all are doing some stuff that God ain't never told you to do because you're trying to be good. Listen. If God has not authored that, if he's not brokered that, then you ought not be involved in it.
Absolutely. And I tell people this too, and this has to do with what we were saying about finishing strong, 2019 strong. I said some people have an expiration date. I said this last year. Some people have an expiration date of December 31st, 2019. I said, so you need to sit and decide if those folks are either going into 2020 with you, supposed to go into 2020 with you, or they need to be left in 2019 for you.
Yes. Absolutely.
That conversation needs to be had with you and with God about that, so that you understand and know where it is that you're trying to want to be in 2020, and whether or not that person is to go with you, and that way you're not wasting your time any longer.
That's it. And lastly, one of the principles I always say is you must update your vision. You must update your vision. Because sometimes we're operating on an expired vision.
Wow. Wow.
Okay? Some vision has a time limit on it.
Mm-hmm.
And many people are frustrated because they're trying to do something that's outdated now. The time has passed. That vision is no longer applicable to your life or the season of your life that you're in. So now we have to stop and sit down, and perhaps it's time for either a revision to the vision, or it's time for a new vision, which is all right as well.
Mm-hmm.
But you must check and see what your vision is. You see what I mean? In every area, what is your vision for your money,
Absolutely.
for your generational wealth, or what have you? You may need to update the language of your vision, because that has a whole lot to do with you actually experiencing the fulfillment of vision.
Mm-hmm.
Take, for instance, if you need $10,000, and let's just say that you've never seen 10,000 cash dollars in your life, to wrap your mind around that may be somewhat difficult, even though we say, well, $10,000 ain't a lot of money, but if you ain't never had it or ain't got it, it's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money. Mm-hmm.
Now, you think about the verbiage. Is it easier to say I need $10,000, or is it easier to say I need $100 bills?
Mm.
Because if I get 20, I know I ain't got to get but 8 or more. If I get 40, you see what I'm saying? I get 40, I know I need 60 more.
Mm-hmm.
You see, I can wrap my mind around that because the language changes.
Right.
So maybe you need to update the language of your vision. You maybe need to go look and see if it's expired. Okay. You may have even lost passion for it. Because when passion is gone, ain't nothing you can do about that, for real. We got people that are wasting time trying to crank up passion again. You ain't passionate about that no more. That was for that season of your life. But now you need to figure out, what is the vision for my life at 53 years old? When my mother passed, my life, it was like God set a reset button for me. I was trying to figure out, because she was my world. Everything I did involved me thinking about, how would this impact the care for my mother?
Gotcha.
When my mother passed, it was like God hit the reset button. I had to find a new normal. Because now my decision making no longer required me to consider her. How do I make decisions that don't include my mom? Can I go ahead and be free? Because some things I didn't do because it would impact her. Now those things that I can do, because there is no restriction, I had to update my vision, man. And
absolutely,
that's good to do. It gave me like this sense of like, yes, let's go, let's get it. And so I had to learn to get in a different rhythm, though, because the vision was different. So never be afraid to update your vision.
No, and you actually should be doing that on a consistent basis. Just like in business, I say you should always, your business plan, you should be looking at your business plan every year, at least once a year, because you should be looking at what updates need to be made, what worked, what didn't work, what you need to work on, what actually is working for you, so that you have a clear understanding of you from a business perspective, but then also you from a personal perspective. And I talk about, and I break down the physical, looking at you from a mental state, an emotional state, a physical, are you physically healthy, a relational state. Like you just talked about your mother, that was a relational thing that you had, because you had a relationship with your mother. And then even if you have a personal relationship with, whether it's your wife, your spouse, or somebody that you're involved with, you're looking at each of those perspectives in how to, how do you make yourself better, or what is it that you need to focus on? And it will, trust me, this will assist you all throughout your whole year, and it will give you, you'll be able to find yourself in a better place. You'll find yourself not wasting time with certain things.
And don't be afraid of what you see when you review it either. Like, you talked about the business plan or whatever. Don't be afraid to look at it. I did this thing one time at my church called Black Money Matters. And one of the things that I was trying to encourage people to do is to stop being afraid to look at your credit report. it's yours.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be afraid. You may find things on there that should have dropped off or some inaccuracies. Don't be afraid. Even if you feel embarrassed by it, it's okay, because you ain't the first person that had some derogatory things on a credit report. These are repairable. You got to get rid of the fear, of what you're going to see.
Right.
So I think that those are things that I really agree with you on so wholeheartedly, man. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's the only way that we become better.
Yes.
It's the only way we become better, man. This has been enjoyable to me. I mean, I hope the folks I hope they took plenty of notes, because I done sat down and wrote, I done took notes my own self on this, because it is about enlightening people, it's about empowering people, and it's about impacting people. That's to teach you something, equip you with something, and then impact you to do something.
Yes.
That's what I'm about, and that's what this brand you development series is all about. When I thought about doing this, it is about how can I assist people in becoming better.
Yes,
and doing better, and bringing folks like you on to be able to talk about giving people those tools, because it is about tools and skill sets that they need in order to be able to be better. That's what it's all about. So what I want you to do is I want you to give people your contact information if they want to connect with you, to be able to buy your products, if they want to hire you as a life coach, or they want to visit your church there in the area there where you are, that they can come and visit your church and everything like that. I want you to give your all of your contact information.
Absolutely. You can go to my website, www.mariocbrown.org. That's mariocbrown.org. There you can do self-scheduling if you want to have a free 20-minute consultation, or you want to make an appointment. Our staff will get back with you right away and get you scheduled for that. If you're in the Auburn area, we're at 1750 Opelika Road, Auburn, Alabama, the Kingdom Church. Also, you can check out some articles that I've written for Suave Magazine. And that's at suave.com. That's SUAVV.com. I write under under Mario Brown, but you can search that whole site. It's a wonderful Black publication. Brother Rashad Davenport is the editor-in-chief and owner, and he's a wonderful brother. And so I write a lot of things on men's mental health for that magazine. So definitely check that out. My latest article is about removing yourself from toxic relationships. It's called Get Out, These Toxic Relationships. So you can see some things like that. And my YouTube channel is Life Matters with Mario Brown, and that's my YouTube channel. You can also check us out on Tuesday night at Real Perspectives Facebook Live at 7 o'clock Central Standard Time. You go to my page on Mario Brown or the Real Perspectives page also, and see that we're talking about relationship issues. We have a great time. It's fun. It's lighthearted, but with some real serious information. And finally, my email address. Oh, I forgot. The podcast every Wednesday night at hindsightmediaradio.com is the podcast, Empowerment for Life podcast. And so you can hear that podcast also, and that's on my Instagram, which is Mario_E4L. So I think that's about it. My email address is E4L. That's Edward number 4. L as in Larry.Mario@gmail.com. And I'm sure, Leroy, you'll have some more information that they need. They can always find me.
Absolutely. Now, give your Facebook, and I don't know if you're on Twitter or not, but
yes, I'm not on Twitter, but I am on Instagram, and that Instagram. Let me make sure, because I never look at that. I just post. You know what I mean? I just post.
Right.
But my I am on Instagram, and let's see. That is Mario_E4L. You can follow me on Instagram and Facebook, Mario Brown. I'm on there. Also, Empowerment for Life has a channel, and CoffeeWithJesus.cafe. Those are three Facebook pages that you can follow me on, and reach out to me. Whatever you need, we can get you done.
Absolutely, man. It has been an honor and a pleasure to have you on the show. This was just so enlightening for me, but I also hope that those who who are listening got something as well that they can take from here and be able to implement right away.
Yes, sir.
Into their life to be able to use. So y'all know what it is. It's that third Monday. We bringing y'all those folks that that are no holds barred when it comes to life, when it comes to making you better, doing better, being better, because that's what it is. We're here to enlighten, empower, impact you. And the mission of Black Professional Men, like I said, is to educate you, activate you, elevate you, give you those things that will secure not just the future of the African American male, but to secure you as a male or female in life, because these tools that you got today can be used by both men and women to make you better. So we'll see y'all next time. We appreciate y'all. Mario, I appreciate you again,
Thank
brother.
you, sir. I
And we'll
enjoyed
talk with
myself.
you soon. Absolutely.
Absolutely.